Okay, so I'm going to start with reading Va'al Hanissim in English, which is a tefillah that we say in Shemona Esrei 3 times a day on Chanukah and in benching. And it goes like this. Okay, in the days of Matisyahu, the son of Yochanan, the high priest, who was from the Hashmonai family, and his sons, when the wicked Syrian Greek Empire, led by Antiochus, rose up and took control over your nation, the children of Israel, enacting decrees to make the Jewish nation forget your Torah and turn them away from the decrees that you want them to keep. You, God, in your great mercy, stood by the Jewish nation and helped them in their time of difficulty. You fought their wars, defended their rights, and avenged the wrong done to them. You put the mighty Syrian Greek army into the hands of the weak Jewish army, and the great Syrian Greek army was defeated. You put their many soldiers into the hand of our few. You put the impure who fought against you into the hand of the pure Jewish army. You put the wicked into the hand of the righteous. You put the sinners into the hand of those who occupy themselves with your Torah. Through these great acts, you made a great and holy name for yourself in your world and for your nation, the children of Israel. You brought a great salvation and redemption. It is spoken about and praised to this very day. After they won the war, your children, the Jewish nation, entered the holy temple, cleaned out the idols that the Syrian Greeks had put in your sanctuary, and purified your holy temple. They lit candles of celebration in and around the courtyards of your holy temple, and they instituted these 8 days of Chanukah to give thanks and praise to your great name. So this is what we say. And we're gonna ask if we're gonna speak about this, and I have a few questions. Okay, here we go. So I'm following along with the poem at the same time. The Va'al HaNissim prayer describes that after the victory, the Yidden cleaned the Heichal and kindled lights in the courtyards so holy. Okay, so when I read it in the English, there's also some words in between the lines that explain it. But if you read it straight, what does it say? V'liku neiros b'chatzos kachecha. And they lit candles in the courtyards, in your holy courtyards. So what question do you have on that? Where is the menorah supposed to be lit?
Inside.
In the Heichal, inside. And here we see that it says that they lit candles outside in the courtyard. Okay. But within the Heichal is the place that is most fit for the menorah to be lit. So the question is, why in Va'al HaNissim are we saying that the menorah was lit in the courtyards? The Chassam Sefer explains that since the Heichal had idols inside, the menorah was lit in the courtyard outside. All of Israel saw the lamps burning for 8 days so bright. In the Heichal, only the Kohanim would have seen the miraculous sight. So the Chassam Sefer says, listen, there were idols inside. So according to halacha, the Rambam says that even someone who's not a kohen is allowed to light the menorah as long as the kohen prepares the lamps. So the kohen could have prepared the lamps, taken the menorah out of the heichal into the courtyard, and then anyone is allowed to light it. And actually, it would be an advantage here because everyone would be able to see the miracle. While if the menorah is inside the heichal, the regular people couldn't go in, so they wouldn't have seen the miracle. So before we even continue, we have to ask, why do we celebrate Hanukkah for 8 days and not 7 days? Seemingly the miracle is only for 7 days because they had enough oil for 1 day. So the first day wasn't a miracle. Right?
It says it's kasha.
What is it?
Okay.
Okay, so what's the answer?
To write 100 100.
Wow.
There's a whole sefer on this. It's kasha.
Okay, so Suri gave a answer on the way here. She said just the fact that they looked for the oil was already a miracle.
They failed it.
The fact that they even tried to look for it.
Why would they look for it?
Right? And then even once they found it, is only enough for 1 day. They could say, let's give up.
Right.
What's the
Why should
point?
we even light it?
Why should we be lighted? What's the point? But the fact that they gave everything that they had and they tried their best.
Sorry, so nice.
So I'll tell you then there's another explanation, and that is what was the miracle? Why 8 days? They filled up the cups, the lamps, on the first day, and every day only 1/8 was consumed. That's why even the first day was a miracle.
Interesting.
But the problem with that is that according to halacha, the cups have to be full.
Oh.
So
What do you mean the cups? Always, by the end of the day, they weren't empty?
when you start lighting them, when you prepare the menorah to be lit, the candles all the lamps have to be full. So if every day 1/8 if it's less and less, then on day 2 you're already 1/8 down. So ultimately, the Rebbe's answer is that the miracle why we celebrate for eight nights is because on the first night they filled up all the lamps completely with oil, and the impossible happened that it burned, but nothing was consumed. So therefore, even the first day was a miracle, and so only on the last day did it slowly go down. But every single day, it stayed to full to capacity. It was burning, but it wasn't being consumed. Something like that, like the sneh, that concept.
Can you tell us the Likkutei word for it?
Nimna min hanimnois is that like that's what we say about the arid, that it took up space, but it didn't take up space. The sneh. Yeah, it wasn't being consumed.
What's the word? We need to like know by heart. But something by Asian, Nanu, something.
Ukal.
Yeah,
So now that we understand why we're even celebrating for 8 days and nights. Okay, so the Chasam Sofer says there were idols in the Beis Hamikdash and in the Heichal, and therefore they lit outside. But the Rebbe has 3 questions. The Rebbe has 3 questions about the Chasam Sofer, and also if they lit the menorah, and if you say, oh, they lit the menorah outside in the courtyard because they wanted to publicize the miracle, they didn't even know there was going to be a miracle that first year. So they didn't know that there was going to be anything to publicize. So why would they have lit the menorah in the courtyard? Oh, because there was idols inside. But the Rebbe has an issue with this explanation. He has 3 questions. Okay. For this explanation, there are problems 3. 1, the kindling took place after the Heichal was idol-free. If we look inside the Nisim, we just said that. And afterwards,
Mommy tried connecting, but she said it's private. She couldn't connect.
Okay.
Yeah, like a private, whatever.
I have no idea.
How is she connecting on the phone, on the plane? Could do Zoom
Why
on
not? Wi-Fi phone call.
I thought you could just send messages.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, or if she wants to call on the phone, then
No, she put she's on the
oh. Okay, I have no idea what's different this time.
You record the class?
Yeah.
So listen.
Okay, so what does it say here? In Baal Nisim, what does it say? After they won the war, your children, the Jewish nation, they entered the holy temple, cleaned out the idols that the Greeks had put in your sanctuary, and purified your holy temple. And then it says they lit candles in the courtyards. So according to Baal Nisim, according to the chronological order of what happened, no, they cleaned it out the idols first. So it can't say there were idols inside the Heichal. Number 2. Idols were also put in the courtyard by the Greek army. 3, why is the word courtyards in the plural form specifically? Second of all, if the Greeks put idols in the Heichal, they for sure put idols in the courtyard also. And if it comes to cleaning up, of course the Heichal takes precedence over the courtyard. So number one, the Heichal was cleaned already. Number 2, what would have stopped them from putting idols in the courtyard as well? And number 3, the question is, why does it say bechatzreis, courtyards, plural form. Bechatzreis kachecha. Why in plural? So we know there's the Chatzar and the Azara are interchangeable. There was Ezras Nashim, there were different kinds, there were a few Azaras, there were a few courtyards. But why are we using the terminology courtyards? Why are we using the term plural for the Chatzar? Even if you want to say it, they lived in the Chatzar, then why plural form?
Live in a bunch of places, they live in one place.
Right? Okay. So the Rebbe says as follows. He says that the candles that we're talking about, the candles over here, the Likkutei Neres B'chatzos Kachecha, is not talking about the menorah. It can't be talking about the menorah because the menorah was inside, not in the Chatzar. And these are candles of celebration. We know that even in a shul, there's a minhag to light candles. By Simchas Beis HaShe'eva, the courtyard was lit up with candles. Candles represent honor and celebration. And these candles are not talking about the menorah, but rather, yes, in all the courtyards, there were candles of celebration that was not the menorah. It was other candles. And those candles didn't have to be with shemen zayizach, pure olive oil. It could have been anything. So basically, we come to the conclusion that in Va'al HaNisim, there is zero mention of the miracle of the oil. The only thing we have in Va'al HaNisim is the miracle of the victory of the war. And as a celebration, they lit candles in the courtyards. But it has nothing to do with it. There's no mention. The candles here are not talking about the menorah.
What is that? Really? Yeah, it's not about about the victory.
The Ba'al Nisim is only about the victory. Okay, so here I'm just catching up over here. And they kindled lights in your courtyard so holy does not refer to the menorah, but rather to other lights for praise and glory. This also explains why the word courtyards is in plural. The courtyards were filled with celebration lights that didn't require pure olive oil. However, according to this,
courtyards is in plural.
yeah, because it was.
Oh, you say.
And guess what?
The courtyards.
So in the Beis Hamikdash, there's a few courtyards, and also it could have been courtyards of the Holy Yerushalayim. It could be anything. It's not about the menorah. It could have been courtyards in the Holy Yerushalayim. And there's multiple courtyards in the Beis Hamikdash as well.
The Hamikdash was also plural, so maybe like everyone, like, you may know that like that also.
You mean the lights that in the whole pouring years, we once had a ship that, you want to talk about the ship about all the lights that were outside, inside, remember you had all the lights that were in the, what, you had.
Yes, a long time ago, yes.
The lights that were inside and outside, there were all the lights in the hallways.
Yes. So there were many different parts. There are many different parts. And there were steps and there was this and that. So
I remember
yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember the whole thing about which lights they were, there's a whole deep share.
Yeah.
The coming, not something.
We have to go back and review. I don't remember all the details.
You had the lights in the hallway, remember that?
There were different chambers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's something about Shabbos.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, okay, we have to go back and review that.
There was a lot of lights, that there was lights.
That's what you said.
The different levels.
The ship was given here?
No,
It wasn't about time. It wasn't a Tanya class.
I
Yeah.
remember the passion one that we did here.
Okay, I'll look for it.
It was very interesting.
Okay. However, according to this interpretation, the miracle of the oil, why doesn't Va'al HaNisim mention? And now we have the opposite problem. In the Gemara, the essence of Chanukah is defined as the miracle of the oil only. Why doesn't it mention at all the miraculous victory? So in the Gemara it says, "My Chanukah." What is Chanukah? What is the essence of Chanukah? And over there, it's only talking about the miracle of the oil. And there's no mention, it says that there was a war. There is no mention of the victory whatsoever. So we have two miracles being commemorated and exclusively. And that's why that's what we're asking. That's what we're asking.
Where did he say it talks about just menorah?
In the Gemara. When it says Mai Chanukah, it only discusses the fact, the miracle of the oil, does not mention the word victory whatsoever at all in the Gemara. When it's saying what's the essence of Chanukah. So why is it that there's no mixing? In Valanissim, it's only about the victory. And in the Gemara, it's only about the oil. That's our question.
When did the Alanism come about? Was that the unchecked messes of the?
Wasn't it now?
Well, that's when the Siddur was.
Was that when it was composed?
Two different periods of time, maybe? I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know. But basically, we are speaking about both miracles, but in different ways, and we're not mixing the two. They're very separate.
It's in the Sefer HaMaccabee, the full book. That's why it came, it's like it just things so careful.
Okay. So the question is, what's the big deal? Why can't we mention the miracle of the oil when we're talking about the miracle of the victory? Why keep it separate?
Where the story, where's it put it? Error. There's that error, so now it's
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe one is physical, one is spiritual, but like us, if I'm one, physical and spiritual is the same thing.
Okay, so the answer is because it's physical and spiritual.
Okay, so then why should it be separate?
So that's what we're going to discuss right now.
Okay.
What, the miracle?
The miracle of the victory is a miracle that our physical bodies were saved.
That's what it's.
It's the war.
That was the war. And the miracle of the oil is a spiritual, is a completely spiritual.
No, the war was spiritual. We weren't in physical danger. We were
Okay, let's explain.
No physical danger.
A spirit, the oil is a spiritual victory, and the
That's primarily a spiritual.
war is the physical victory.
It's a physical. They wanted to kill us. That's how they wanted to change our ideology.
But if they were, right, after you're neshama, but if
Once you
you
destroy the base of mission.
The only reason they wanted to kill you is because they want you to lose your Jewish
Right.
identity.
What-
I just heard that's very interesting that that's why they fasted. They fasted Purim, but on Chanukah they went more physically. Why? Because when their physical well-being was in danger, then they know it's Hashem. Hashem's in charge, and that's not. That's for Hashem. They daven because they knew Hashem. But when they were spiritually in danger, when it was that, then they had to go physically and fight. I just heard that.
100%. Yeah.
I think they went to both. Right?
Yeah.
So Hanukkah was a spiritual.
Yes. Yes.
No, they just wanted to sell. There's like a map.
But the girls who are now, they want to do everything, like, it's like, and we say, firm like in the Jews. Hanukkah was about turning over, right?
Right.
What,
Where are
now,
we
just,
now?
now like, just everything.
Yeah, now it's everything. Now it's both.
No, it's really just killing. They don't want to change your religion. They just
Yeah.
wanna get
Yeah,
rid
the hostages that were there were trying to
convince
convince them to take the Quran and to.
Oh, yeah?
Really, Hamas
And
is
they,
not
yeah,
out
they
yet.
want to kill them, and they want to come out
Yeah.
the council, but that if they convert, that they'll live, they need to.
Yes.
And guess what? They didn't convert, they did.
They treat him nice. This book that hostage is a very good book. Yeah, amazing.
They treat them nice.
Yeah, he has some people that treat him nice. It's interesting.
Not
to see
always,
what-
once or twice.
Stages,
Not
the beginning,
just-
very true and nice that in the stages of the tunnels where they were. I know, it's a good book to read.
Okay. So I'm so happy that everyone's
Yeah.
animated and into it. Okay. So what happened? We know that Purim, they were fighting against they wanted to kill us physically. That was like the Holocaust. It doesn't matter what you believe. They just wanted the Jews to be wiped out. But Hanukkah is a spiritual war. What they wanted is, as we say in Valanissim, Lashkicham Tairasecha. They wanted us to forget Hashem's Torah, and to turn them away from Hashem's decrees. They wanted to separate a Yid from Hashem. That's what they wanted to do. And when they weren't successful, then they went to war because they weren't getting what they wanted. But the reason why they went to war was because They wanted us to forget our Torah and to forget the mitzvahs and to separate us from Judaism and from the Eibishter. That was their intention. That was what they want. That's what they're fighting for. They were very, very smart people. Logic for them was everything. And they said, if you want to study Torah because Torah is a smart philosophy, no problem. You have your philosophy, we have our philosophy. Wonderful. If you want to get knowledge, no problem. But if it's Torah Secha, if it's Hashem's Torah, you're doing because Hashem said so. You're doing because Hashem commanded. That was what they did not. That was what they were trying to abolish. As we said last time in the Tanya class, that there's three kinds of mitzvahs. There's chukim, there's mishpatim, eidos, and chukim. Mishpatim are mitzvahs that we understand, not to kill, not to steal. Eidos is mitzvahs that we do as to remember something, as testimony. And chukim are those mitzvahs that we do because Hashem said so. And that is what irked them. That is what they wanted to abolish. That's what was infuriating them. The fact that we're doing because Hashem said so. Okay, so we're trying to understand why we're separating the victory of the war and the miracle of the oil. So we're saying, so we have to understand what the war was about. What were they fighting? So here, during the time of Chanukah, the primary decree was not against the Jewish body. The decree was against the mitzvahs, which are in the category of chukim, whose fulfillment is based only on accepting the yoke of heaven. That's what was bothering them. However, a Yid and Hashem and Torah mitzvahs are above logic. Like we learned in the Tanya class last week, right? Mm-hmm. So there's something above logic. Godliness is completely higher than the limitations of creation and cannot be grasped by intellect that is human. So the other nations, the most they could reach, the highest place that they could reach is the place of intellect. There is nothing higher for them above intellect, and there is nothing higher for them above this world.
I wonder it drives them crazy. They can't even go there.
They cannot go there. The concept that there's something, the concept that there's something beyond creation, is not something that they're shaykh to. And that's what they can't stand, and that they can't understand, that there's more to life than just this physical world. It doesn't end here. And there's more to our relationship. Our relationship is beyond logic, and that's what they can't stand.
I believe that even the guy that think that there's more to this world than this world, like there's guys that believe in afterlife. I think the part where they have to grasp is that there's things that are illogical.
Right.
But that wouldn't be something that's illogical.
Right.
I don't feel like it's very
Even their afterlife makes sense.
Even their afterlife is very logical. Hell, you're
Right.
bad, you go to hell, you're good, like it's very logical.
Right. You know, I never realized.
You see, where
that
do you
they
grasp
have that.
something that you can't grasp?
That there's something that there could be a relationship
That's not
that's above logic. A relationship
that's before brain.
right. So they don't have, they can't go higher.
The religious Muslims and Christians, what do you have to do with this?
No, you imagine.
No, but they do believe God is greater than their understanding, no? Because that's the only.
No.
In fact, like
I don't think
hell,
people understand.
no, they like
huh?
very much play it down. They believe that they could
They could
if you do
understand.
good, then you get good. If you do bad, you get bad. Like it's very logical. If you kill a Jew, you go to heaven. If you know what I'm saying, like it's very.
They don't do anything for Hashem. Everything is for their own purpose.
Heaven.
For their own selfish reasons. They
What
can
about the
never do
relationship?
for Hashem.
Wow. Got the good and the bad, the deeds.
Right. Okay. The miracle of the victory was just a step towards a much greater goal to show that a nation limited to logic has no power over the Jewish soul. The reason why we're separating the two miracles is because they can't, they can't, if we speak about the miracle of the oil, while we're speaking about the miracle of the miracle of the victory was pales in comparison. And that's why they each need their own space and we're not mentioning them together. Because the miracle of the oil is far, far greater than the miracle of the victory. The miracle of the victory was only a means to an end. The main thing here is that it's a spiritual war. And we have to know what's the ikar and what's the tafel. We have to know what's the primary and what's the secondary. And we have to, and therefore, if I mention the oil while I'm speaking about the victory, then the victory is insignificant. And therefore it's not mentioned together. Because the main thing is that it's a spiritual war. It's a war they were trying to fight Hashem, basically. And they're trying to, and the fact that that we have the miracle of the oil proves that they have no control over a yid, over Hashem, chas v'shalom, and that ultimately godliness is above logic. Our relationship with Hashem is above logic. Thank you so much. And that is the main thing. Okay, let's imagine, okay, if let's say there was a victory of the body, which means that we won the war and we're all saved physically, but that's not enough for us. If we would have all been saved physically, or let's even backtrack even more. Let's say there was no war because we said, okay, Greeks, we'll listen to what you say. Well, you have a point, logic rules here, and we're going to follow everything that you do. We're going to go to the gym. We're going to worship the body, and we're going to do all this. So then physically, our lives would be spared, but then spiritually, we would not be here today. So between the two, the victory that is essential, the victory that far surpasses the victory of the war is the victory of the oil. And that's why we don't mix the two.
Also interesting that oil doesn't mix with anything either.
Oil doesn't mix with anything.
Oil floats around
Right.
So
That's exactly the point.
That's interesting.
That's exactly the point, that we rise above, and we're not bound. A Jew is not bound by this physical world. We're not bound by logic. Our relationship is not limited to logic. There's so much more above creation and above logic. And that's what they're fighting against. They're fighting a spiritual war to say, they say, no, there's nothing more than logic. There's nothing more than this world. This is what you see is what you get, and that's it. And that's what they were fighting. And that's why the miracle of the oil is completely and totally separated from the miracle of the victory, because the miracle of the victory was just a step to get us there. And that really isn't the essence of Chanukah. Okay. The Yidden had Mesiras Nefesh to fulfill Hashem's every command, even the mitzvahs that we don't understand. Although it wasn't logical, since they were so few, they fought a war for the sake of Hashem, so they could keep His Torah so true. The reason why the Yidden fought, the reason why they fought was they fought to be able to keep Torah, to keep Hashem's Torah, and to fulfill Hashem's mitzvahs, because Hashem said so. That's why they fought. That's why they even went to fight the war, and they had Mesiras Nefesh to fight that war, and therefore, as a kind of like a thank you for us fighting Hashem's war, Hashem gave us the miracle of the oil.
for us trying to do the impossible, Hashem gave us the impossible.
100%. The essence of Chanukah And the primary miracle was seen clearly when the Yidden returned to the Beis Hamikdash and found one jug only of pure olive oil that still had the seal of the Kohen Gadol so holy, which burned in the menorah for 8 nights and days miraculously. Okay, so now the question is, okay, fine. We understand why it has to be separated. But why did the miracle come about specifically with the menorah? The entire Beis Hamikdash was defiled. That's like Chanukah also comes from the word Chanukas, like a Chanukah Sabayis, a rededication. You have to rededicate and purify everything in the Beis Hamikdash. So there was also a Mizbeach, there was also a Shulchan, there were other things also. So why is the miracle of Chanukah specifically expressed through the menorah? And the answer is because light is the closest thing, to spirituality. Even if I compare light with the ability to smell and the ability to hear, light surpasses everything. Because even the ability to hear, it is somewhat tangible because we have something called sound waves, which could be measured. And the thing with smell is that a smell is connected to the physical thing. There's a physical thing that's making a good smell or a bad smell, and the further away you go from this physical thing, the less smell you'll have, and it could be that the smell will go away altogether. So the smell is very much connected to a physical object, but light, you can't touch it, you can't grasp it. It's the most spiritual thing. It's the most spiritual creation. So what happens is when we light a menorah, as we said, there's a lot beyond creation. Above creation, above this world, there's Hashem's light, the Shechina, Hashem's Arin Seif, Hashem's unlimited light. And what happens is when we light a menorah down here, we are making a vessel for holiness, for Hashem's light, which is above creation, to come down to this world. We're literally making this world holy and bringing holiness and bringing Hashem's light into this world through lighting a physical lamp.
That's Shabbos also.
Yeah. So that's the incredible thing about light. And therefore, when there's a war against what? Against Hashem, who is above creation, the victory has to come about through light, which is saying, no, you're wrong. There is something above. There is something above creation. I'm going to show it to you because that light is being drawn down. The light from above creation is being drawn down and expressed in the miracle of the oil that you see you see a tremendous miracle, specifically where, in what area, specifically in light, which is the closest thing, which is to spirituality, to show that no, there is more beyond, that there's more than this world, and there is more than creation, and there's more than logic. And that's why the miracle was expressed specifically through the lighting of the menorah.
If the miracle was the candle, the menorah, then why is Al Nisim not about that? Shouldn't that be what Al Nisim is about?
So
why are we focusing on the lesser miracle?
So we have two opportunities to give thanks and to commemorate both miracles, but they're not together because they're so far apart. They're so far apart.
But what do you think that Al Nisim, like, shouldn't that have the main miracle of the day, like what we're adding into our tefillos? No.
So that's what our Chacham instituted. That Al Nisim is going to be where we're going to thank Hashem for the victory, and the candles, the actual mitzvah of the day is going to be the menorah, which is where that's where we express the essence of Chanukah, and Al Nisim is its own is very important to say thank you, but it has to be separate because they are truly intrinsically different. One is a victory, a physical victory, which is in this world, versus a spiritual victory, which is out of this world. And that's why the two can't mix.
Chabad is always about mixing it, though.
Okay. Okay, so we usually do everything, all the physical stuff, we want to elevate it to spirituality. So we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there by the lesson. Okay. The most spiritual creation is light, and therefore the menorah is the most fitting vessel to express the miracle and to draw down the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah's light is above creation and shines within every Jew. Therefore, logic doesn't limit our connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we also spoke about this last time in our class in Tanya, that there's something above questions. We could have questions and logic, but there's something above logic. So therefore, we could have a million questions about Hashem, but at the same time, it doesn't destroy or tamper or negate our emunah, because we have a relationship with Hashem that's above questions, that's above logic, and the Shekhinah's light shines within Hashem's light shines within every single one of us, and therefore our relationship with Hashem is not limited to logic or to creation. When we wish to offer thanksgiving to Hashem for the miracle of the victory, we cannot mention the miracle of the oil because they are as different as can be. To thank Hashem for the miracle of the oil, we light each Chanukah light. To thank Hashem for the military victory, Va'al HaNissim we recite. The miracle of the victory is a physical one. It is more insignificant than a candle shining outside when there is sun, compared to the objective of the miracle of the oil, which was to prove that the physical has no value compared to the spiritual. Okay, so what are we saying? Why can't we mix the two? Because just like if I take a candle right now and I go outside and I don't even see this, I'm saying it's daylight, but you don't even see the sun shining. But if you take a candle outside when the sun is shining, the candle is insignificant compared to the sun. And that is even and to compare the two miracles, to take the physical miracle of the body versus the spiritual miracle of the neshama and of Hashem, they're so far apart that it's even more far apart than a candle compared to the sun. And why is it? Why is it? Because what we're saying is that the physical war, the physical victory is completely
gets lost.
it gets completely insignificant compared to the spiritual victory, because the whole battle was that physical is the main thing. And here we're saying the main thing is the spiritual, and physical is completely insignificant when you're talking about the spiritual. Because they're saying the Greeks are saying that the only thing that matters is the physical world. And what the Yid is saying is no, the physical world is nothing compared to the spiritual world. And that's why we can't say it in the same, we can't have it in the same paragraph, because what we're saying is that the physical and spiritual are two opposites. And no, the physical world is completely and totally insignificant in relation to the spiritual world, and therefore we can't mention them together.
Understood.
Okay, there's no value to the physical world in comparison to the spiritual world.
Chicken fat.
Chicken fat, yes. Okay. The lesson for me and you is to realize that Torah and mitzvahs are the priority for a Jew. Although we need physical objects to do mitzvahs, we can't get carried away. Our dedication is above creation, and therefore spirituality, it should say, always leads the way. Okay, so what we're saying is the lesson that we take from this is that yes, we need physical things to perform the mitzvahs. However, we can't get carried away with the physical. And we have to realize that the main thing is the spiritual. So by the class yesterday, so Ruthie was sharing. She said that she had her family coming, and she likes to light Shabbos candles. Early, and she had this big soup that she worked so hard to prepare for her family. And as the guests are coming in, the whole soup,
You were there.
her daughter loves the soup. And somehow the whole soup got turned upside down and it was everywhere and it took her 5 hours to clean it and right before Shabbos. And the end she said she just left it and she said she's going to light Shabbos candles. And after Shabbos she was 5 hours scrubbing the stovetop to get it clean. But she said that's what it means, that the soup is physical and Shabbos is spiritual. Shabbos is coming. And I was as upsetting as it is that the whole soup is ruined and on the floor and made a big mess, that is completely insignificant compared to the whole Shabbos is coming and Shabbos comes first. So not to get carried away. And when we make parties or Shabbos meals, and we're under so much pressure because if we don't have 10 dips for the fish course, then maybe we're not
That's what I'm thinking though, the Hanukkah is remembering that, and here I spend so much of Hanukkah on the physical, making a pretty table and making extra foods, and like it feels like it's.
Remember, no, but then that's what. Remember you made it last year and wasn't like they want it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they want what again? The physicality?
They want that feeling. That's really what they want. They want that feeling really like it's special.
That creative
is special. Yeah. Hanukkah was
I don't know, maybe I have to maybe I should focus less on, maybe I should do that, I should focus less on that, and I don't know how I could bring in more of
That's like anything
spiritual.
with being physical.
One of
It's a
my
habit,
kids
like
said
it's a
that
feeling. So if you get excited about this doesn't cost a lot of money, that's the same as you have to spend the money. It's a feeling you put in. It doesn't have to be the feeling of this special food. The same cake you make in the house. It doesn't have to buy it. You still use that feeling.
Right.
You don't need to spend the money.
But you can't just cry.
You can start making this.
I read it.
It's already confessional.
Right. So we always have to have our eye on the goal and on the prize, and that is that we're Yidden. And all the donuts and the bagels and the cheesecake and everything.
So you get the same donut from the donut store, and say this is behind, and you have to go to something to make it. It's the feeling you're putting in their house. It's only people see that donuts. That's creating the
So
not that
the-
you're buying stuff like expensive. What are you emphasizing, that they're expensive or they're really expensive?
My kids,
That's
There's papers from each other. I'm like, what's this paper?
This is what my uncle wrote. My
So
7-year-old.
beautiful. So beautiful.
Last year, she wrote, her mother told her that you put it on with an item. So she's 7 years old. First she starts, please answer my tefillah, Hashem. Then, anyone in the world who needs a Afiyah Shalayma should have an Afiyah Shalayma.
Amen.
Anyone poor should become very, very rich. Anyone in the world that's homeless should get a house. Anyone in the whole entire world who needs to breathe should breathe. Anyone in the world who needs to learn how to stand, talk, sit, crawl, eat right, stand, should learn how to right away. Anyone who died, their neshama should go higher and higher, get closer to Hashem. This is a 7-year-old. Anyone in the world who wants to have a baby should have a baby. Anyone who is meant to die should not die. Anyone who is very sick should quickly feel 100% better. Anyone in the world who wants to be making more money should make more money. Twice you We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach now, we don't want to wait. Please bring Mashiach already.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
didn't read it. See, my kids don't want to read it.
Yeah.
Malky was cleaning the and she asked her permission. She said, okay, but mommy, please don't pass it on. So Malky said, so she says, mommy says, but please, you have to learn how to die before, so she let her pass it on.
Yeah, but I want to bring this to what happened in Sydney. Basically, what happens is physical things matter very much. You could have a schedule and you need to do this and you need to do that, and it's so important. But take Manya Lazarov. She gets a phone call. Her son was shot in Sydney. All of a sudden, the whole to-do list is insignificant. Everything is insignificant, and she went to Sydney with her husband obviously, and she has a baby also. But she left everything and everyone. She has a huge Chabad house on campus. But all of a sudden, all the physical things that are so important, all of a sudden, It's insignificant when all of a sudden, when from Texas, all of a sudden, when something happens, when things like this happen, all of a sudden, what highlighted is, you realize that physicality is nothing, and the only thing that really matters is Torah and mitzvahs and spirituality. My brother Levi, who's best friends with Eli Schlinger, so a year ago, they made a bar mitzvah. And my brother, the expenses for him to go to Australia and be there for the bar mitzvah was $5,000. And everyone said, "You're crazy. You're crazy." My mother, I said, "You're crazy. $5,000 to go across the world to leave your family to go for a son's bar mitzvah. Who does this for a friend's son's bar mitzvah?" And he went, and he went. But all of a sudden, and all of a sudden now, right? You realize what's the most important thing? It's not $5,000. What's the most important thing is that you showed up for your friendship, love, community, family, simchas. That's the most important thing. But we're so busy. We're so busy with the most important thing is how much money am I earning and paying my bills and all that. That's so important. But all of a sudden, tragedy strikes, and all of a sudden, everything, all physical stuff is insignificant. Shir, when she spoke at our Chabad house, she was a survivor from the Nova Festival. When she is in the back of a car, hiding behind the back of the car, and the terrorists came and they shot the driver, and she doesn't know what's going to be from 1 minute to the next. All of a sudden, everything, how much money you have in the bank, and every other physical thing is completely and totally insignificant, right? And the only thing that really does matter, the only thing that matters is the Torah that you learned, the mitzvahs that you did, how many people, the Shabbos counters and put on tefillin and mezuzahs and everything else. The only thing that's the only true reality, is kedusha and holiness in Hashem. And the Greeks are saying there's one reality. The reality is this world. And if I kill you, then that's it. There is nothing else. But Yiddishkeit teaches us that there's two realities. We have the Va'al Nissim, we have the physical world. Yes, we're physical human beings living in a physical world. And yes, we have to make a living and live in this world and buy donuts and everything else. But a Yidden, we have a second reality. And that reality is a million gazillion times more important than the physical reality. And so I think it's incredible that it is separated, because on one hand we have to mourn and cry and we're mourning and crying and for the physical body, and that there's a place for it. There's a place for it, and Hashem gives us the space for it. That yes, we have to cry and cry for the pain and cry for the suffering and cry. Yes, he's in a better place, but for all his family and for all the people that are suffering, and the Hashem gives us that space. There's a physical space where we could cry and mourn and be so terribly, have no words. And then at the same time, there's another reality. And that reality is so different than the physical that even if you it's like shine, it's much the difference between the two realities is much greater than the insignificance of the physical reality compared to the spiritual reality is even more than how insignificant lighting a candle is when the sun is shining so brightly. There's another reality. There's more than this world. There's a world that's above logic. There's a world that's above creation. And over there, and that's what they were fighting against. But that is the reason why. That is the reason why, because that is the true reality. And that is far, far greater than the physical reality. That's why we say, no, we're not going to take off our yarmulke and stop all the menorah parades and go hide. And we're not bound by logic, because my husband got a text message from someone from Lakewood, on the day that we had our Carmenere parade, and he says, "Why are you making a Carmenere parade? Driving with a bunch of cars with menorahs on top not through the Lakewood. We were driving from Riverwood Park all the way to Town Hall, Tom's River. We're going through not Jewish not Jewish streets, not Jewish neighborhoods. Why put it in their face?" And there were so many cops by each intersection to let all the cars go. And trust me, the people that are watching, if they're in a rush to go somewhere and they have to wait for the police escort for all the cars to go, they could be not so excited. So I'm saying is that why don't we cower? Why don't we just say shut it down? Why put the menorahs in their face? Why make these events? Why gather like this to give them an opportunity to do such terrible stuff? And the answer is because there's a reality that is immeasurably greater than this physical world, and that reality is Hashem's reality. That reality is that there's something beyond logic and beyond creation, and that's Hashem. And the menorah, which is the least physical thing, which is the least physical creation, that is where it's represented. That no, there's a Shechina and there's Arin Saif, and that light is drawn down into this world specifically when we light the lamps. So we're saying you're trying to fight us, you're trying to kill our bodies. But you know what? Yes, we have the place to mourn and to be and to be and to wallow in the pain, but doesn't stop there. There's another whole reality, which is Hashem's reality. And yes, in every generation, they killed our bodies, whether it be the Holocaust, the Spanish Inquisition, the Cossacks, whatever it is. And it's terrible and tragic and everything like that. But beyond the physical body, there is so much more. And like the Frierdiker Rebbe said when he was arrested, the previous Lubavitch Rebbe was arrested, and they wanted him to talk. He took out a gun, and they said, this gun makes people talk. This toy makes people talk. The Frierdiker Rebbe said, this toy works for people that have two gods in one world. But we have one God in two worlds. So this doesn't scare me. We're not scared, and we continue, and we bring more and more light. And every time we light the candle represents the infinite light. The candle represents the light that's above the creation and above logic. That's what we're doing when we're lighting the menorah. And that's why we're lighting more and more menorahs. And even in Sydney on the 8th night of Chanukah, in the very same place where the terrorist attack was, they're going to have another event, and they're going to light all 8 candles. That's how we fight, not with rifles, but with more light, because that is the true reality. That is the true reality. And that's why it's separate. It's so interesting that it's separate, the physical victory and the spiritual victory. There's two parts in our heart. On one hand, we're brokenhearted, but there's more. There's another reality, and that is that Hashem, the reality of Hashem and the reality of the Jewish people, that we are eternal, and Hashem is eternal, and we're above it all. That is the true reality, and therefore they could never win because they're limited to logic and they're limited to creation. And we are beyond it, and that's why no matter how much they tortured our bodies, Yiddishkeit always continued and persevered, because there's more than just the physical body. There's more, and yes, we want to, and just like then it's the same. It's the same fight. This was a fight against the body and against the soul, and just like then we had the miracle. We should have the coming of Mashiach now, and all the lights that we're lighting on Chanukah should bring down in a revealed way the Arin Saif, and we should have Mashiach immediately, and all of our loved ones, everyone should come back to be, because our families need them, their communities need them, their friends need them, the world needs them. Yeah. So it's two lessons. The first lesson is to realize, to prioritize, to always prioritize and to realize what's physical, what's spiritual, what's more important, what's less important. That's number one. And number two, to realize that there's more than one reality. There are two realities. Yeah. And that's how we could continue.
This is a big step.
Yeah.
And a tragic hospital is always that. You know, if it's not my family, of course, I'm able to compartmentalize a little faster. But yeah, it's. Hashem, we got the point. Okay. Please.
Yeah.
Enough. Yeah, it's enough already. We deserve to have Hashem in this physical world.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Yeah, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say.
And then we go, okay, what time is mental?
Right.
That's who we are. You know? Something terrible, terrible, terrible happens. And then we have to get back up and reconnect. That's what I feel like. Like, okay, I got a little push away and I have to like work on it. I have to work on reconnecting. And when I reconnect, I feel much stronger connection. That's the amazing part. You know, a little pushback, and then you come back.
Because you're tapping into the real reality.
Yes. Yes.
I was just thinking, you know, when we were in school, the kids who were the biggest troublemakers that no one could control, that were kicked out every single day, they are the most powerful, incredible powerhouse shluchos in the world. So there's two realities. There's a reality in the classroom. You know, the kids can't sit straight. But then there's another reality. There's another reality, and that is you see them on shluchos, the incredible work that they're doing, the energy. It doesn't mean that they were an A+ star student, you know, but there's more. There's more than one reality. There's more than one reality, and the same way, what happens is when we fall, and we connect again, all of a sudden the reason why you feel more connected is because there's a reality where Gashmias, you know, rules, but then there's another reality, and then what happens is all of a sudden a tragedy strikes, and you realize that all the things that that were so important to you are insignificant, and you tap into the true reality, and that's why you feel more connected. And I was sharing last in the class that on Sunday night we had a Chanukah party in Crown Heights by my parents, and my brother Levi was there, and he was completely not I don't know what the word is. He was completely out of it. And so I was sharing with him, you know, my best friend passed away 17 years ago. She was 26 from a brain aneurysm. She had a son. Her son at the time was a year old, and I was talking to him. I said to him, I was sharing stuff with him, and one of the things that I shared with him was that when my son Mendel was 13, before his bar mitzvah, we do a hanachas tefillin. 2 months before the bar mitzvah, they start putting on tefillin. So that day really it should have been Yud Beis of, but he was in sleepaway camp. So he pushed it off a day. He was in Detroit. So Yud Gimel of, my husband and I and the kids, we went to the Ayel, and we had a little breakfast over there, and he put on film for the first time and everything like that. Afterwards, my husband said, Chani, okay, I'll watch the kids. You can go to the Ayel, take your time. I went to the Ayel, and I'm in the Ayel, and one of my kids big kids taps me on the shoulder and says, someone said I should remind you that today is Rachi's yahrzeit. My best friend, her name was Rachi, and I had completely forgotten Yud Gimel Av is her yahrzeit. And when she passed away, I went to the funeral home, but I didn't go to the Beis HaChaim because I was expecting then. So I never knew where she was. So after I came out of the aisle, I saw Rachi's mother. I said, "Where is Rachi?" So she said, "Go all the way to the end, and then make a left turn and go all the way to the end." That was it. And it's drizzling, and I didn't have my cell phone with me. I didn't tell my husband I was going to go look for her or anything like that. And I'm going all the way to the end, all the way then. I cannot find it. I'm looking. And I was like, okay, forget it. Let's go back. No, I have to keep looking. Anyway, I was like, third time, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going back. And all of a sudden, it was right there in front of my face. It was right there. And standing in front of, standing in front of the, standing by the stone, all of a sudden, you have that clarity, and all the things that are so important all of a sudden completely fall away, and you have the clarity of what's really important in life. So when I went to the aisle, I had asked I didn't have the clarity then. I was like, I had a job opportunity. I could teach my kids cheder, which would mean that I would leave with the kids at 8 o'clock in the morning and come back with the kids at 5 p.m. and drive them each way back and forth. And I wanted to do it. I'll earn money, whatever. I need the money, whatever it is. That would have been the main reason to do it. And I was thinking, yeah, no. All of a sudden, I was looking for the clarity. I really wanted to do it. All of a sudden, I'm standing over there. All of a sudden, I realized, what kind of mother am I going to be if I take this job? And yes, it's a few dollars, but that's insignificant. That is not my mission. I have to be a mother for my children. I cannot be a mother for my children and a teacher and preparing, because I know that when I take upon these kind of things, like I, spend too much time, and all of a sudden, the money and the whatever fulfillment, it was all completely insignificant when you stand in front. When you stand in front of the stone, you realize what's important in life. And I promised her, I said, Rachi, I'll be the best mother I could be. I'll be the best wife I could be, the best shluch I could be, and I'm not going to take the job. And when you go to someone's kibbutz, you usually put a rock. You put a rock on. I put a rock on, and I took a rock home. And I have a rock in my middle drawer. My kids know my middle drawer is where I keep all my special possessions. And I have that rock. It's been sitting there for 7 years in my middle drawer as a reminder to that promise. So we have to realize what is important, what is significant, what is not significant. The only thing that's really significant is Torah mitzvahs and to serve Hashem. So we have to have in mind what is significant, what's important, and we have to realize that there's two realities. Yes, we're living in this physical world, and yes, you have to support our families and provide for them food and everything like that. But always the goal has to be, and we have to realize that what's really, really important is Torah mitzvahs, and everything else is just to help us. Everything is for the sake of Hashem, to make the mitzvah more beautiful, to get have the children to be excited, whatever it is. But that's not the ikar, because this world is not where it ends. There's another whole world that pales in comparison to the physical, to the extent that it can't even be in the same paragraph in Baal Nissim and Shemana Esrei, to show us that to make that distinction, to make that separation between the physical and the spiritual, because the whole point of the Greeks is that there's only the physical, and we say no. The spiritual is so much greater than the physical that we're not even going to mix the two. That's why it's so important that in Baal Nissim should be Baal Nissim, the miracle of the oil should be the miracle of the oil, because it's two completely different worlds. The balance. Okay, thank you for being here. Happy Chanukah to everyone.
You made it very clear.
Thank you. Thank you for the spread and the phone.
Yeah.